she exploded onto screens with girls, becoming the controversial voice and face of a generation. An artist who, from the very beginning, never shied away from discomfort. Lena Dunham annoyed, scandalized, inspired, and, above all, never left anyone indifferent. A writer, director, actress, and essayist, she became one of the most autobiographical and discussed creators of the last decade. But who is she beyond the controversies? What is her true legacy, and how is she reinventing herself today? To understand Lena Dunham, we need to go back in time to the New York of the 80s and 90s. Born in 1986, Lena grew up in a privileged artistic environment. Her parents, painter Carol Dunham and conceptual photographer Laurie Simmons, immersed her in the world of contemporary art from an early age. She attended St. Anne's, a progressive school in Brooklyn, and later graduated from Oberlin College with a degree in creative studies. This cultural melting pot shaped her authorial voice long before she had an audience. Her first steps were in independent short films, where she was already exploring youthful humor and anxieties. But the true turning point came in 2010 with the film Tiny Furniture. Written, directed, and starring her, the film, made on a minuscule budget, captured the post-college hangover of a young woman lost in Manhattan. With a raw aesthetic, naturalistic dialogue, and biting humor, the film won the Best Narrative Feature Award at the SXSW Festival and, more importantly, caught the attention of HBO and producer Judd Apatow. From that moment on, her career would never be the same. In 2012, the world met girls. The series was conceived as a kind of Sex and the City for people who didn't have money, a stable job, or obvious glamour. The partnership with Judd Apatow and HBO resulted in a raw and unglamorized portrait of four friends in New York. The show focused on the sexual insecurities, career failures, and complicated friendships of the millennial generation. The heart of the series was Hannah Horvath, an anti-heroine par excellence. Narcissistic, insecure, and ambitious without direction, Hannah exposed herself both physically and emotionally in a radical way. Lena Dunham used her own body and experiences as raw material, blurring the lines between fiction and real life. The characters of Marnie, Jessa, and Shoshana completed the picture, each with their own dilemmas. What followed was a revolution and a controversy. The series was widely acclaimed by critics for its narrative audacity and sharp dialogue, winning the Golden Globe for Best Comedy Series and Best Actress for Dunham. However, controversies were constant. The lack of racial diversity in the cast, the protagonist's frequent nudity, and the representation of an upper-middle class were very common criticisms. The debate was the series a realistic portrayal or just a reflection of its creator's privilege? Regardless of the answer, the cultural impact of girls is undeniable. The series opened doors for more complex female voices on TV. It normalized discussions about the non-idealized female body, sexuality, and the failures of youth, influencing a whole new generation of creators. Lena Dunham's style is unmistakable, and it has manifested in all her projects. She's a great representative of the mumblecore aesthetic, with its naturalistic and often uncomfortable dialogue, and a focus on awkward social situations. Her films and series are marked by obsessive themes: the radical self-exposure of her body and flaws, the anxiety of young womanhood, the complexity of female friendships, unglamorous sexuality, and dysfunctional families. Lena's work is almost always a mirror of her own neuroses. After Girls ended, Lena Dunham's career continued on multiple fronts. She released the autobiographical essay collection Not That Kind of Girl, which was a commercial success, but also drew criticism for certain passages. On television, she created and produced the series Camping and Generation, but both were canceled after their first season. In film, she directed and starred in Sharp Stick, a movie that marked her return to themes of awkward sexuality and trauma and garnered a polarized reception. But in 2022, she surprised everyone with Catherine Called Birdy. Far from her explicit autobiography, the film, was an adaptation of a young adult novel and was widely praised by critics, showing a lighter, more accessible side of the director. Parallel to her artistic production, controversies never left her alone. Her comments, which were considered insensitive, problematic statements about race and body image, and her public defense of colleagues accused of harassment, generated massive criticism, raising the difficult question of separating the artist from her personal actions. Lena Dunham's current phase seems to signal a new maturity. Catherine called Birdy may be a sign that she is exploring stories outside of her direct experience, focusing more on her skills as a director and adapter. She recently returned to television with Too Much, a romantic comedy series for Netflix she co-created and produced with her husband, Luis Felber. The show, which she also directed, follows a New Yorker who, after a bad breakup, moves to London and falls for a messy indie musician, a premise that is quite linked to Dunham's personal story. The reception for Too Much has been polarized. While some critics and fans praise the series for its honesty and sharp dialogue, celebrating the return of her inimitable voice, others found it to be limited and cliched. The series is seen as a new chapter in which Dunham tries to balance her uncomfortable aesthetic with a more traditional romantic comedy format, resulting in divided opinions.
Oh, make me over.
Her legacy, however, is complex and paradoxical. Lena Dunham was, at the same time, a revolutionary artist who opened doors for raw female narratives on TV with notable courage in self-exposure, and a limited figure whose criticisms regarding a lack of diversity and privilege remain a stain on her story. Lena's work forces the viewer to confront discomfort, flaws, and unglamorous truths. This is, at the same time, her greatest asset and her greatest source of criticism. In the end, Lena Dunham is a creator who doesn't ask for permission. Her work, deeply marked by her biography and worldview, is a disquieting mirror, sometimes narcissistic, sometimes incredibly insightful, of female anxieties, privilege, and the search for meaning in the modern world. Controversial, talented, uncomfortable, and always autobiographical, she continues to challenge, divide opinions, and, above all, tell stories that, whether we love them or hate them, rarely leave us indifferent.
I'm glad I came here with your pound of flesh, no second billing, 'cause you're starting.
Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. And you, how do you think the history of television and cinema will remember Lena Dunham? Leave your opinion about her work and the controversies in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more analyses like this.